Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. All right, so this video, I want to dive into what the violet flame can do for us on this 3D planet. Diana and I talked about St. Germain and the history and the legend. And she went into a really deep dive with that. So if you want to go into a deeper dive of St. Germain, you can go to the other video. And I think that is on my other channel. But on this channel, the non-political channel, let's just see if we can get a little clarity on the Ascended Masters and specifically St. Germain. You know, I never really gave it much thought about what an Ascended Master is or what it takes to become an Ascended Master. So, I mean, I have a book. It's just one book, so I'm no expert, although I do play one on YouTube. But do not do anything I say. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. What does AI say it takes to become an Ascended Master? A human being must complete their cycle of reincarnation by achieving profound spiritual mastery, self-knowledge, ooh, that means you got to look at yourself, and the transmutation of their physical body into a higher unmaterialized form. Ooh, sounds like the Ascension process, right? Sounds like flipping into 4D, 5D area. Okay. Gaia, the website and the channel, they say Ascended Masters are souls who have reached a high level of spiritual evolution, overcoming the trials of earthly life and the cycles of reincarnation. Okay, so it's kind of similar. Well, AI probably took it from Gaia. This process allows them, us 3D people, to transcend duality and access higher planes of consciousness. So transcend duality, is that the same thing as transcend plurality? And I go back to the Galactic Heritage deck that I love using so much, and the polarization of humans right now, well, and in the past, as we came from Source, we separated from Source to experience contrast and different polarizations, different thought processes, but still we're part of one Source, one love. So as we split and look at contrast, we have to come back to source energy. So I think that that's what this is allowing us to do. So this process allows to transcend duality and access higher planes of consciousness, from where they, the Ascended Masters, act as guides for those of us seeking to progress on their own spiritual path. They are recognized for their wisdom, compassion, and commitment to the awakening of humanity. All right. And then it goes on to say, unlike gods or deities, Ascended Masters were humans who lived their experiences on Earth. So let's, top 10. Well, you got to have a top 10, right? Jeshua, Jesus. Do I need to go what he represents? Sure. Unconditional love and forgiveness. St. Germain, master of the violet ray. Weird that they would put that in. That's all he does, the master of the violet ray. So that must kind of mean that that violet ray is important. Well, we'll see. And that violet ray symbolizes transmutation and spiritual freedom. Here's something that's really cool that I think is really important. He guides us in the transmutation of negative energies and thoughts to discover our own personal power. Okay, now I get why it's so big. Kuan Yin, goddess of compassion and mercy, teaches us to open our hearts. Lady Nada. Now, I'm getting into certain ascended masters that I haven't heard of before, or I don't really know much about, i.e. St. Germain. Lady Nada, she represents selfless love and service to others. Now, I do know a little bit about her because of some of my oracle decks. Buddha, well, I know about Buddha, okay, symbolizes enlightenment and detachment from suffering. Just be. Serapis Bey, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, the master of purity and spiritual ascension. He's one that I probably should look into because I don't know anything about him. El Morya, okay, represents divine will and faith. Okay. Hilarion, again, don't know anything. Master of truth and healing. Lady Portia, symbolizes justice and mercy, teaches us to balance judgment with love. And I see her in the justice card, okay? And then Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world, and is a guide for spiritual evolution of humanity. Okay, top 10 ascended masters. Okay. But for this violet flame in St. Germain, let's try to figure this out a little bit. The concept of this ascended master has its roots in the 19th century, and it was, I guess, in particular, what's her name? Helena Blavatsky. So she introduced this new age spiritualism and the ideas of the masters of wisdom, enlightened beings who has transcended as humans, okay, and transcended that human limitation and is now working to guide humanity. And so the ascended masters. In the 20th centuries, the movements such as the Open Door, never heard of it, and the teachings of Guy Ballard, have heard of him, the founder of the I Am organization. And the I Am organization, I believe, was pretty huge at the time, over 1 million followers, and it's smaller now. I don't know what it is, but it is rooted up in Mount Shasta. And when I go up there, I see these spaces that are or small buildings that says the I Am church or building or reading room. I don't know. Reading room. No, that's a different Christian. We don't even want to get into that. Okay. So the I Am organization claimed that St. Germain appeared to Guy Ballard in 1930 to train Guy Ballard as a messenger. And so that's why he started the I Am organization. And this is where these master teachers and the names Kuan Yin, El Morya, and St. Germain became popular, linking these ascended masters to the 7 cosmic rays and presenting them as active guides in our spiritual process of humanity. These teachings, according to Guy, I can call him Guy. You call him Mr. Ballard. Okay, sorry, little squirrel moment. These teachings focused on ascension, energetic transmutation, in connection with the inner divinity, the I am. And for those of you who have followed me on my Sunday with Spirit, it transmuted, the opening did, into us dancing on the web of creation, which is we are part of creation. What we say, what we feel, what we vibrate on this web creates our world that we're in. Okay, so there are these 7 flames or 7 ascended masters to help guide planet Earth. There are others. There's galactic spiritual hierarchies. Maybe that's a conversation with Dr. Gale, Skywalking with Moon. But these are all channeled messages. So as far as truth and fact, we don't know. But as we linearly think in this 3D world, if we expand our awareness, and if we stay in the heart space of love and truth, as long as we stay in that light, then I think we're good with whatever messages come to us. So who governs spiritual hierarchy in the workings of our planets? And what the book said is that these are overlapping hierarchies that function within, all working together with love, harmony, and oneness for the benefit of the collective. Okay, this is like the law of one. So in the book, the 7 sacred flames, they lay out this planetary spiritual hierarchy, and it lists certain fraternities. Wow, that was a hard word for me to get out. So that may not be the right word, because there are sororities too. So why just a fraternity? Is that just male? I don't know. But anyway, it was hard for me to come out, so I'm thinking maybe that's not the right word. There is, for example, Order of Masters of Wisdom, the Brotherhood of Shambhala, another one I don't know, the Planetary Christ, the Office of the Maha Kohan, and I think that's Lord of Gods, and then the 7 Masters of the Rays, that are the main bodies of being from the realms of light, constituting the spiritual hierarchy for the planet. Now, when I say that, I go, that's just one. There are others too, as it said, but if we want to just focus in and narrow down so that we in our 3D brains can comprehend some of this stuff, then we're going to use this 7 flames. The first flame is, and you guys can get this book. Let me just show you what it is if it works for me. There it is. Okay. It's The 7 Sacred Flames by Aurelia Louise Jones. It's got a lot of channeling information in there, a lot of channeled messages in there from Adama, from St Germain, from Ezekiel. But let's just go through these 7 flames real quick, and then we're going to focus in on St Germain. First flame is the first flame, the will of God. And when I wrote it down, the program changed it to the wheel of God. So, a lot of the synchronistic things are right. So the first flame is the will of God. And maybe it's the wheel of God, the sacred circle. Coming from a shaman's point of view, as I dig into that, it would be the circle, the sacred hoop. So the number one flame is the sacred hoop of Creator. So when we talk about God, and we have to pull that away from my historical belief when I was in grade school, listening to Sister Gudda Gudda, who beat my hands with a ruler. It's not any religion, it is an awareness of. So in so much of today's times, we are focused on what man wrote as Jesus, i.e. the Bible. But that's not what this is about. But I still have that image of God as an old white dude with long white hair and a beard. I need a shave. But that's not what this is about. So I like the term creator for me. I like the term source. But if God works for you, use God. The first flame, the will of Creator, the will of God, the will of source. The main qualities and actions of this first ray: omnipotent protection, faith in the will of Creator. The throat chakra, color blue, and the archangels are Michael and Faith. The second flame, illumination and wisdom. And this is Lord Master Teacher Lanto, teacher of ancient wisdom. I don't know who Lanto is. I will be digging into that later. Other masters serving on this second ray of illumination and wisdom: Buddha, yes, Sanada and Jesus. They're like one, and I've never heard of Sanada, and Confucius. The archangels are Jophiel and Christine, corresponding chakra, the crown chakra, and the color yellow. So it's weird that the corresponding colors do not match the traditional chakra colors that I am aware of. I guess it doesn't matter. All right. Third flame, cosmic love. The corresponding chakra is the heart chakra. The ascended master is Paul, the Venetian, and this office also holds the Holy Spirit of the planet. That could be a whole nother thing that we get into, the Holy Spirit of the planet. Okay. The archangels, Chamuel and Charity, and it's the color pink. And it has all these correspondings when you look at this. So you have the, oh, now it's not holding up. You have the whole corresponding qualities to this ray, and it's got stones and crystals. It's got places that they like to hang out at. For example, the first ray, their retreat is Half Dome. So I'm going to go hang out at the Half Dome. Okay, anyway, because it's close to me. Let's keep going. Where are we? I think we're in Paul the Venetian. Let's go to the fourth flame, the Ascension flame of purification. Ooh, Lord Serapis Bey. And that is purity, wholeness, Christ consciousness, and becoming God through the consciousness of Divine Mother. So I'm glad to see the Divine Feminine showing up here. Yeah. And this is about becoming God through the consciousness of Divine Mother. So, yeah. And the chakra, it's the base of the spine, color white, and the archangels are Gabriel and Hope. Fifth ray, flame of healing and manifestation, Master Hilarion. Okay, manifestation of God's abundance through the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Yay, yay, yay. She was always I was so connected to Mother Mary when I was a kid. When I'd go to church and there's all Jesus and gods and apostles, I would always be drawn to Mary. The chakra is the third eye, and it's the color green. Okay. Archangels, Raphael, and Mother Mary. The sixth ray, the flame of the resurrection, the ministration of love, of Christ, selfless service of God and mankind. This is Lord Sanada and Lady Nada, known as their last incarnation as Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The chakra is the solar plexus and the color purple and gold. Archangels, Uriel and Aurora. And here we go, the seventh violet flame, the flame of transmutation. The main qualities: freedom, transmutation, transformation, diplomacy, oh, we could use a little now, and the science of true alchemy. The master, ascended master, is St Germain. The corresponding chakra is the seat of the soul, and the angel is Zadkiel. Zadkiel. Why can't they just say Bob? Zadkiel. Okay. Let's go back and just briefly go over the history of St. Germain and his incarnations. Okay, so this is a recap of what Diane and I talked about a little bit. So this is via Chat GPT, though. So the alleged past lives of St. Germain. And it's crazy because, never mind, I won't get into it. First one they mention is Prophet Samuel. This is the 11th century BCE, and I have to laugh at BCE, and it's before Common Era, era. However, it came out before Common Error, and I think our time stream has a lot of common errors in it. Not getting into politics, but there was a time jump that created a huge learning experience for us that we're now in. And I think it was an error. Never mind. Sorry, squirrel. Okay, Prophet Samuel. Okay, biblical prophet who anointed Saul and David as kings of Israel. Okay, he represents, hang on, focus eyes, divine authority and justice. These are all what St. Germain had to learn as he kept going. St. Joseph, husband of father. Husband of Mary and earthly father of Jesus. Whoa, okay, so he was teaching Jesus, right? Symbol of protection and divine guardianship. St. Alban, 3rd century CE. First Christian martyr of Britain, okay, sacrificed his life protecting a Christian priest. So he learned how to protect the lessons of protecting somebody and what it costs to have true conviction on something. Okay. Merlin, the wizard and advisor to King Arthur, this is the 5th and 6th century BC, represents wisdom, magic, and mystical alchemy. All right. And then we get to Proclus. It's Greek Neoplatonist philosopher. Proclus. Okay. Known for his teaching on metaphysics and divine. Okay. So far we have Merlin and Proclus, both looking at metaphysics, both looking at alchemy, magic. And then we go to Roger Bacon. Thank you for a name I can pronounce. Roger, I mispronounced it. Roger Bacon. He was 1214, 1229, 1294, English philosopher, scientist, early advocate of experimental scientific method, studied alchemy and mystical science. Hang on to that word. We're going to get back to it. And then we get to Christopher Columbus. Really? Explorer, brought Europe and the Americas into lasting contact. Europe and the Americas into lasting contact. What did St. Germain learn by being Christopher Columbus? Wow. Okay, so he's associated with expansion and world change. Okay, we need a little bit of that right now. And then in 1561 to 1626, Francis Bacon. Okay, we already had a Bacon, Roger Bacon. Now we have another Bacon. Obviously, you can't have enough bacon. Francis Bacon, English philosopher. He was linked to the beginnings of modern science and philosophy using controlled empirical experimentation for scientific knowledge. You have to have control systems in place so that you can get science, right? So Roger Bacon was a pioneer who blended mystical and scientific thought. Francis Bacon said, no, you need control in your mystical and scientific thought. It was more cut and dried. And then we get the Count of St. Germain, 1710, 1784. Okay, so European adventurer, alchemist, diplomat, never seemed to age. After this incarnation, he is believed to ascended to mastery. Some traditions also add Plato, Shakespeare, even Prince Ratkotsky of Transylvania. And then this is what came out of ChatGPT. The U.S. Constitution, and then ChatGPT said, or AI said, well, historically, the Count of St. Germain died before the U.S. Constitution. We're talking about past lives, and we're talking about metaphysics, and you're talking about historically. Okay, so he could not have directly participated. However, in mystical and esoteric traditions, especially the I am activity, St. Germain is closely founded with the association of the founding of the United States. So, where was it? I wrote it down. Hang on. Okay, here it is. So he's patron of freedom. St. Germain is considered the spiritual sponsor of the United States, guiding its birth as a nation of freedom. Influence on the founding fathers. Some say he was there and then he kind of disappeared in the drafting of both the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and later the Constitution. So the mysterious stranger legend, there's a story that during the signing of Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, an unknown man gave a fiery speech urging them to sign and then vanished. Some say that was St. Germain. And keepers of the flame of freedom. He is the ascended master of the new age of Aquarius, the patron of democracy, freedom, and individual rights. So where I want to go with this, St. Germain. Okay, so we could go really, really, really deep into what this this I Am Presence teaching of St. Germain in the violet flame. As a shamanic practitioner, I like to drop in and hear my own wisdom on that. St. Germain is letting us know that we are on the web of creation, that we can, when we get quiet, hear source energy and the truth as when we were connected to source, when we were part of source. So I'm going to throw some cards on it, but before I do, let me just pull a passage from the book that I think is really relevant to where we are going right now. And when it talks about St. Germain being part of the U.S. in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, telling our forefathers to sign this document, to create a place where all men, all creatures are created equal. So when he came over with Columbus, I think he probably made some mistakes. When he came and helped us sign the Declaration and create this country, I'm sure it wasn't fully formed, and he probably has some other things that he'd like to say right now. And here's what I pulled out of the book that I think is really relevant. We require an army of light to bring this assignment to completion. You, who are my friends, I give the assignment to initiate now the establishment of the seventh golden age of harmony, peace, beauty, abundance, perfection, and the true community, he says, brotherhood, through the path of love of your own heart flame. Remember, every great thing had a humble beginning. And in that message, let's throw some cards. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, I think. And I hope I put this up today. I just finished doing a St. Germain Part 2 for my other channel, Danny Shea Journey. That'll be below this video. I'll put it in. And it's more of a deep dive into the spiritual aspect of ascended masters and the seven flames. And St. Germain is part of the violet flame. And so it goes into more of that. But so this is part 2. Part 1 was with Diana Bowles, and she and I dug really deep, mainly her, way deep into who St. Germain was. And I know who St. Germain is from Mount Shasta, but he was never somebody that I really connected with spiritually, so I wanted to dig more into that. And it took me down a rabbit hole, and I get into that on my on the other channel, which is not a non-political channel. And it took me down this rabbit hole, and I scratched the surface again. So, but today on this channel, this political channel, I want to see what St. Germain has to say about this current time. Now, let me back up and talk a little bit about why would I ask St. Germain about the U.S. political landscape. Well, number one, St. Germain, as reported via channels and channeling and stuff like that, that one of his past lives was Christopher Columbus, where he brought the East and West. He brought Europe to the Americas full time, or something like that. Full time, yeah. He brought them together, so it's never going to go away. Because there were certain times when people would come to the Americas, but they weren't like permanent inhabitants. Well, we're now permanent inhabitants. And I wonder, I go back and I think and I go, did you make a mistake there? If you had to do it again, what would you do? Would you do it different? Maybe. So anyway, also that he was around during the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Here's what it says. It says, St. Germain is closely associated with the founding fathers. With the founding of the United States. He's a patron of freedom, as St. Germain is considered the spiritual sponsor of the United States. I did not know that. How many MAGA people know that? So the spiritual sponsor of the United States, guiding its birth as a nation of freedom. Okay, I'm going to just keep reading, because if I go squirrel, we'll never get done. Influence on the founding fathers. Some writings say he appeared to the founding fathers in spirit or a disguise, and inspired the drafting of both the Declaration of Independence, 1776, and later the Constitution. And Diane and I went all over this, but I'm just recapping a little bit. So the mysterious stranger legend is that during the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, an unknown man gave a fiery speech urging them to sign, and then vanished. Oh my gosh. So some traditions say, hey, that was St. Germain. All right. Keeper of the flame of freedom. So, is that the violet flame? With New Age movements, St. Germain is called the ascended master of the New Age of the Aquarius. Not of the Aquarius. The New Age of Aquarius. And the patron of democracy, freedom, and individual rights, which link directly to the U.S. Constitution. So, the violet flame is one of transmutation, transformation, and its main qualities: freedom, diplomacy, science, the true alchemy. Transmutation, transformation. So what I want to look at in the cards, in case people get confused, for entertainment only, we are not confused anymore. Okay, what does St. Germain have to say to us at this particular time in our polarized society of the United States, where it feels like we could be splitting apart and just breaking into different factions. Maybe it's a civil war like people are talking about. And hopefully no guns or any of that. But maybe, California and Oregon and Washington split off, and I don't know. What does he have to say? So if he were to transmute and transfigure and transform the United States, knowing what he knows now in spirit, what would he ask us to do? The first card that I pulled from my Angels and Ancestors deck was this, the Hermit. And this is retreat and recharge. And this is what St Germain was reminding me when I was doing the research, retreat and recharge. And then I hear what I've been saying a lot, step away from the news. I hear it with other YouTubers that I listen to, and I don't listen to many, very few. They say, you can turn off the channel right now. Not me, not now. But, okay, you can turn me off too. Psychic Duck goes, no, hell no, don't turn me off. Okay, say hello to Psychic Duck, everybody. Hello, everybody, this is going to be really good, so stick with it. Okay, Psychic Duck says stick with it. So, retreat and recharge. When we retreat, when we recharge, we get to play on the web of creation. We get to transmute, transfigure, and transform some of the vibrations on this web of creation. So I'm just going to stick this back in its pile and let's see how it works. Here's the 3 decks that I have 4 decks. I have a regular tarot deck and I have 3 oracles. Let's look at Return of Spirit. What does Return of Spirit have to say with from St Germain? If we tap into the spirit, the essence of this violet flame, so we don't have to buy. Okay, I'm just going off the top of my head. We don't have to buy into all of the past lives if we don't get it, right? And, so my wife thinks we're going to die and we're dead. That's it. I had a really good friend in high school, die, dead, done. Me, I think die, get into spirit world, we get to decide if we want to come back. This philosophy says die, review, how'd you do? You want to come back? Yeah. You want to come back to lead and help humanity? Yes. Well, and a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are here with this ascension process in the age of Aquarius. So, however that works for you, what does, and I lost my train of thought, what does St. Germain, no, not St. Germain, the violet flame, the essence of that awareness, of those incarnations where you learn one after another lifetimes and become representative in the violet flame. I'm trying to make this as non-secular as I can. Secular as I can. What does the message of the violet flame have as a beacon for the United States of America? If that violet flame was around during the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and they ask us to get quiet, to be the hermit, to retreat. Think of Buddha. What's the message? 3 cards. Up. Thank you. Up. Well, at least we're not going down. We're going up. Ascension. Okay. Return of spirit. What's the message? Up. Looks like a spaceship. Return of spirit. Take flight. Okay. So with these 3 cards, we get a lot of images. We get a lot of ways to, we could, what does up mean? What is return of spirit? We lost something. We're going to get it back. What does that mean? Take flight. Go. Don't, for me, it's like, don't wallow in the negativity of it all. That's what I get. I'd love to hear what you guys say. Please put your comments below. What does angels and ancestors have to say? And then at the end, I'm going to do a full spread with tarot on the state of and where it's going from the perspective of St. Germain in the violet flame. So let's just see. Anything else that you want to add to this St. Germain? Hold the space. Druid, hold the space. It feels like, I mean, to me, when I woke up this morning, I go, something's shifting. Something is shifting. I keep feeling that in my bones, something shifting. And you know who I think is at the, I did a personal reading just for me on where are we going with it? And guess who was at the base? Guess who was at the base of the reading? Yeah, the lotus. Exchange energy to create abundance, this trading card. And this is where that transmutation, transfiguration comes in. When we go into the dark night of the soul, we need to take that energy and shift it and change it and we can't discard it because it's part of us. So we have to change it and transmute it and trade it into an abundant energy. Ah, I love this snake. You know, you're being a snake, aren't you? Yeah, I'm shedding my old skin that no longer serves me. I'm transforming it into, it's going to be a little soft, right? We're not going to have our protections on so much. And shedding old skin as a snake, the eyes get a covering. I mean, the whole snake sheds its skin from the top of the head over its eyes down, right? So right before it sheds, the eyes become really milky and they can't see. And it's a little scary. And I kind of feel that's where we are. All right, Shaman's Dream deck. Shaman's Dream. What do you have to say? Shaman's Dream. Ooh, a tidy house. Clarity and organization. All right. A tidy house. What do you guys think? Kind of shedding old skin. Tidy house. You're looking at stuff and you go, oh, damn, I got to get rid of this. Organization. Just get everything reorganized. I look at my desk with all my crystals, and then I got, what? I got tape on my desk. What's tape doing on my desk? Psychic Duck, did you do that? No. And then, you know, and then I put it, I want to just toss it. Okay. Yeah, it's time for that. What does that mean in the U.S.? Hopefully that we're going to reorganize things. If it was a U.S. thing, time to reorganize. Time to clean up. Ooh. We have the stranger. why did I think of St. Germain when I pulled this? This is that stranger that came in during the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. He came in and then disappeared. Stranger, curiosity. And he's creating something with light in this deck, in this card. See that? That's so cool. I remember being a kid and you would get a light wand and you would do that with it and make figure eights and all that. People draw with lights, you know, just opening up the aperture and set the shutter speed to bulb, wide open, like 10 seconds or 30 seconds, and draw magic. You could do it with your phone, any kind of light. Stranger, curiosity. This guy's creating something out of a mental image. And the last card we're going to pull on this before we go, empty well, time to replenish. That was the first card we got, hermit, recharge. Okay, at the base, gathering around community. Yeah. Okay, so what does St. Germain have to say about the pathway of the U.S. as it stands right now? Okay, I just tidied up my table a little bit, got rid of some cards, got rid of Scotch tape. What does St. Germain have to say about the future direction of the United States? If he is the patron of freedom, as it said, I believe, let me double check, make sure I get the right words to that. Come on now. Yep, patron of freedom. Yeah, flame of freedom. What does St. Germain have to say about the future of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution? What does he have to say? I immediately heard, I'm pissed at the Supreme Court. I don't think he'd use that word. I may not have been in the zone. All right. We could ask him about the Supreme Court. But it goes back to the first two questions. You got to get quiet, got to recharge, got to drop into that empty well to be able to hear true things. Because we can get on the surface and then we're not really hearing true things. What does St. Germain have to say about the future of the United States in this incarnation? Is it going to stay? Is it going to change? Looky there, the Hierophant. I think I'm going to drop this down. I don't think I have any naked pictures here. What does St. Germain have to say about this current time frame? Well, he wants to talk about the government, the violet flame, and how it's under a lot of stress. I hope you all can see that pretty well. Nine of Wands. Let me see if I can kick some light on. No, that may help. I'm not sure. Nine of Wands. The guy's, knocked down. He's not out. It's not the Ten of Swords. He's just kind of beat up. Doesn't know where to go. His options are limited. He can stand up and fight. Or he can go the other way. Anyway, he's down, not out. The government. At the base of the reading, what we are marinating in is a celebration, is coming together. In the Rider-Waite deck, this has the White House behind it, and it's maybe could be a false celebration, but this is a coming together of something. And there's 4 factions coming together. In the past, as it relates, is the Death card. This is, I love this card in the Light Seers Tarot, because it's death and rebirth. And it says it on there. So it's like, yeah, you're going through a change for a rebirth. And I mean, that's what it means. I just like that it says it on there. It adds a little bit extra vibration. We have new information coming. And this is my Bam Bam card. Dragon energy, strong, powerful information coming. And if we don't pay attention to it, it's going to kind of knock us on the head. This is wild new information. And for this guy, how much more can he take? That's us. How much more can we take? We can take one more. May I have another, sir? And we get the King of Wands in the potential near future. The King of Wands. Bringing forth calm, bringing forth wisdom, power in its wisdom and knowledge that brings forth. Internal position is the 7 of Pentacles. Kind of reaping what you sow a little bit. This is also tending to our projects. She seems happy in what she's getting. So if we, in the potential near future, get a leader that is going to be able to manage the information that we get. And this is also, could be votes, harvesting votes. Is some information going to be coming out about the votes? I don't know. We'll see. What does the violet flame have to say? We have the Knight of Cups, bringing forth an offer. It could be the knight in shining armor, the knight in, boy, he's got such accoutrement. He's got winged dragonfly, winged seahorses, sea dragons. I want to be him. So cool. All right, hopes and fears. We get the Moon card. Full moon, secrets coming to the surface, making us a little crazy. Yeah, so is that the hope we get more, or is that the fear that we're going to get more? Our hope is that that's going to stop, because it feels like we're in this constant cycle of moon energy. Just more things coming out of the surface, more things coming out of the surface. Kind of like this Ace of Wands. Just bam, 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 more, more, more. And the final outcome is Eight of Swords, restriction. Not being able to move, restricted, tied up, not being able to see. This is like the Two of Swords card. But in the Two of Swords, you can see through the blindfold and the swords are sticking up. So she's just, ooh, here's what I noticed. Look at what she has in her hand. It's still a light. It's gold. She still has the spark within her, even though she feels not being able to move, not being able to see. In her heart space, in her hands, she is holding the golden light. We get the Knight of Wands coming in with new information, maybe from overseas. And we get new King energy, calming energy. So it feels like he's saying, just stay the course, stay in a heart space, hold that light. We have new information coming that's going to be bringing us a calm. I'm going to keep going with this a little bit. We have information coming from overseas, and we have standing on the hill as a winner. Ah, little alchemy. St Germain is known for his alchemy and little wisdom. So what does he want us to say here? One more. We get the Queen of Wands. New information coming from a queen. We get a lot of, we got, did we get the King of Wands? I can't remember now. Knight? Yeah. King, Knight, Queen. Yeah, we got a lot of wands coming. A lot of information coming. At the base of the reading, we have new way forward, Page of Wands. Defending oneself, certainly. We have justice coming. Yay. And love this. Ten of Cups. This is my Democratic card, and it has world implications. High Priestess. More alchemy with this High Priestess cards. So what I'm getting with this is stay in the light. Hold the light as hard as it is, as tight, as difficult it is to be beat down with that Nine of Wands, just beat down in the restriction of the Eight of Swords. Hold the light. Hold the light. Why hold the light? Because King of Cups is coming. We've got new news, possibly from overseas, and secrets are going to be coming out. All right, that's it. That's just what I want to do, just short and sweet. That was his message. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Appreciate you all. Peace and love.